Hello my dear students, how are you? We are going to talk about direct and indirect objects. Unit 4. An direct object is a noun or pronoun that receives the action of a verb. بيكون ايه يا شباب؟ يا اسم يا ضمير. A direct object answers the question what or who. بيجاوب على السؤال اللي بوات أو بهو. Who wrote the poem? John wrote the poem. John likes his new teacher. On the other hand, an indirect object المفعول بقى الغير مباشر يا شباب tells to or for whom the action is done. We use to or for. There must be a direct object for there to be an indirect object. لازم يا شباب بيكون في direct and indirect. For example, John wrote the poem for his mother. We use the preposition for. Then we use his mother اللي هو يا شباب. The poem is the direct object. His mother is an indirect object. John wrote the poem to the audience. If there is a preposition في حروف الجر, the indirect object goes after the direct object. المفعول المباشر بيجي بعد المفعول الغير مباشر بيجي بعد المفعول المباشر يا شباب. For example, she gave the remote control to me. To me. Me is an indirect object. Me is an indirect object. If there is no preposition, the indirect object goes before the direct object. لو يا شباب مفيش حرف جر اللي هو to or for, المفعول الغير مباشر بيجي قبل المفعول المباشر. She gave me the remote control. Me is an indirect object. ده المفعول الغير مباشر. The remote control is the direct object. اوكي يبقى يا شباب if there is a preposition to or for, لو في حروف جر زي to or for, the indirect object goes after the direct object. المفعول المباشر بيجي بعد المفعول الغير مباشر بيجي بعد المفعول المباشر. On the other hand, if there is no preposition, لو مفيش حرف جر, the indirect object goes before the direct object. بيكون المفعول الغير مباشر قبل المفعول المباشر يا شباب. She gave me the remote control. Me is an indirect object. The remote control is direct object. When the direct object is pronoun, the pronoun goes before the indirect object. Gave it to me. She gave it to me. To and for before indirect objects. Use to if the indirect object is receiving something. امتى نستخدم يا شباب to و for؟ We use to if the indirect object لو كان المفعول المباشر المفعول الغير مباشر is receiving something. Use to with these verbs. بناخدها مع الكلمات ايه؟ الافعال دي يا شباب: bring, convince, give, hand, lend, offer, pass, pay, promise, read, sell, send, show, take, tell, and write. Will you pass a pillow to me? Will you pass a pillow for me is wrong. Will you pass a pillow to me? No. The preposition to isn't used when the indirect object comes before the direct object. مهمة جدا يا شباب. The preposition to حرف الجر to isn't used. ما بنستخدموش when the indirect object لو كان المفعول الغير مباشر جه قبل المفعول المباشر. يجي قبل المفعول المباشر comes before the direct object. Will you pass me a pillow? Will you pass me a pillow? Use for. استخدام for بقى يا شباب. If the indirect object is benefiting from some kind of help, use for with these verbs: book, build, buy, cook, find, get, keep, leave, make, order, and receive. My parents, for example, my parents bought a new TV for me. Bought a new TV for me اللي هي buy يا شباب. the past from it is bought. To and for before indirect object. Note the preposition for isn't used when the indirect object comes before the direct object. نفس اللي فاتت. حرف الجر for ما نقدرش نستخدمه يا شباب لما المفعول الغير مباشر يجي قبل المفعول المباشر. His parents are buying him a new TV for his graduation. With some verbs, the indirect object always follow the direct object and the preposition for can't be. Complete the conversation with for and or to. Alex, what happened in last night's episode of Fast and Save? I recommended it. To me or for me? For me. To you or for you? For you. It was great. Omar, well, Alan wrote an email to Ahmed or for Ahmed? Perfect, to Ahmed. In it, he confused to him that he had tampered with the engine of the car he was driving. Ahmed kept reading the email to himself. He couldn't believe that Alan would do such a thing. Then Alan tried to make up for it. He got a fantastic car. هنا بقى يا شباب for أحمد. To drive in his show, he bought a new helmet for him. He even sent a limo to Ahmed's house to drive him to the stadium. What did Ahmed do? Omar, well, he was angry at first. Then he demanded that Alan make a public statement of the air and promised that he would never do anything like that to him again. Okay, see you soon and goodbye.